the Knicks won this game. They took control back of that game last night at the world's most famous arena. Crowd was into it. They were behind the team. Team played their best game of the postseason and were going to beat Boston regardless of the Tatum injury. But that was the complete opposite, the perfect recipe for success. And now they are one win away from the Eastern Conference Finals.
Dude, what a night. I mean, I said Brunson was going to have 40, almost did. Needed a big game from Cat, played well. Mikal Bridges was phenomenal. I mean, last night was what you dream about, what you think about when this team was put together. All right, if the pieces fit, if everything starts to mesh, what could they look like? Well, that's what they could look like. I'm with you, by the way. It stinks for Tatum. We will get to that more thoroughly later. But the Knicks had this game won because the guy that, if he doesn't show up and be the superstar that he is, the Knicks go nowhere. I mean, the other pieces are good. The other pieces are nice when they work. But Jalen Brunson is just unreal. And that play, what was it like in there? The place must have been the start when they're down 16-4 versus when things were popping.
Yeah, well, remember, too, it was a slow start, but it wasn't a prolonged thing. They kind of got right back into it. So it was, Celtics not missing a shot. Here we go again, potentially. Knicks struggling to score. Here we go again. But they got right back into it and made it the game. And I was saying to myself, just keep it to within 6 or fewer going into the fourth quarter, and they'll be fine. Obviously, it was even better than that. They went on the run in the third quarter. Place was electric. But two things happened. And really, it's more than two things because we mentioned Towns and OG. Everybody contributed, which was nice to see. Even the bench a little bit outside of campaign, but the bench contributed. But Brunson took the game over, and Bridges murdered the Celtics with the mid-range jumper, the jumper in the paint. Abused the Celtics with that. This is something the Knicks didn't have access to a year ago, with the potential of 4 guys taking over at any moment or scoring at the level that you need to score. The Knicks are going to have to score in the high 100, 120, whatever, 110 to be able to beat the Celtics. It was 120 last night. They have to be able to do that, and they did. But because of those players that they have with that talent that we've talked about, that's why I love the Bridges trade to begin with, just because of the talent. Was it going to be a perfect fit? We had to see it play out. Is it redundant with OG Anunoby? Maybe. Is Karl-Anthony Towns going to be a big enough superstar? Well, last night you saw the perfect recipe where Towns contributed, Brunson took over the game, still had to go for almost 40, like you said, and Bridges, absolute beast with those short jumpers, dominating the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, the only thing that really kept it from being an absolutely perfect night, like if Campaign would have drilled a couple of those shots, he was an absolute disaster.
We were watching him in the warm-ups coming out of the first half. Dude, he was like 0 for 8, even with just, I was like, Cam, might be time to sit this one out.
The problem is there's really no other options, but certainly not here to water down an awesome night. But I'm just saying, like, everything else was almost perfect. Knicks rebounded, offensive rebounds. They made a lot of adjustments on defense. And the thing about Bridges here, too, like, I love it. It's not like they were running plays for him where he's coming off picks and he happens to be wide open and he's got to shoot, which is not a bad way to play either. But he was making a concerted, conscious effort where he's like, I'm getting the ball and I'm going hunting shots.
Right.
Like he said, I don't know if he said to himself literally, but he looked different. He looked driven. He looked possessed. He was... The knock on him, and we're so far past the 5 first-round picks and all the other stuff, the only knock on him is that sometimes he's a little bit too accepting of not carving out more of a bigger role within this offense. Well, last night he said, give me the rock, I'm going to get some shots, and he was money.
But the fact that you have guys like that could, we talked about it with the Knicks, have those 4 guys that at any moment could take over the game, where Boston, they have their 2 superstars in Tatum and Brown, and the other role players, you saw what White could do, we know what Pritchard could do, the other role players that make the pieces seem to fit a little bit better, what would win out. And again, I know now the Celtics are significantly banged up, but last night, pre-Tatum injury, what won out was the talent of the Knicks knocking down those shots. Well, I just didn't think their team last year was built to be able to do this. Their ceiling, were they going to reach their ceiling? But we finally saw, we haven't seen it really in the postseason to date. Prior to last night, we haven't seen this team click the way that they did last night on all cylinders, where everybody was contributing. A little from OG, a little from Towns, and a lot from Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges.
I don't know how you don't start to look a little forward here in your own mind. Like, it's a balancing act. It's a tough one, all right?
Well, I mean, dude, what are you talking about? How forward?
There's obviously a lot of discussions to have here, but I don't know how you don't go to bed last night saying, I feel terribly for Tatum. He's done for the series. You know, obviously keep an eye on the other series. We know what's going on there. We know that home court advantage could very unexpectedly shift to the Knicks here in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's, in a lot of ways, it's It's surprising, but it really shouldn't be because, again, the Knicks were on the short list for a team that was supposed to be a championship team this year. So it doesn't really matter. Like, I know we all want this straight path, this straight shot, A to B, put the microwave on, cook things up, let's go. It doesn't always work that way. It has not been linear. It's been some twists and some turns. And by the way, the Celtics are not dead yet. They are absolutely not. I expect them to come out the next game and be absolutely possessed to a man to try to win it for Jayson. But, last night was the first time where I really started to think big picture, like, maybe we're in the middle of something crazy and magical happening here. I feel it.
Where I would disagree is that last night, I told you even going into yesterday, if the Knicks won, that I still wouldn't feel, and I said this early, last week, whatever, until the Knicks put the Celtics away, I'm not going to believe it because of the champion.
Yeah, I remember saying.
But what changed that was the Tatum injury. If the Knicks would have won last night and Tatum was healthy, I still would be saying, all right, it's great to be up 3-1.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough out going back there, then having the pressure to try to close it out here before Game 7 potentially back there. Without Tatum, I think the Celtics are toast. So now I'm not.
You don't think they get one more?
No, I don't. I think it's over in 5. I think the Knicks. I wouldn't. Now again, what's the difference? I think the Knicks are winning. Point is, my gut all along was not convinced that the Knicks were going to win this series.
Yeah.
Up 2-0, even up 3-1 with the thought of up 3-1. Once Tatum goes down, I think that's it. That's the gut punch. I don't see any way the Celtics get off the floor in this series. Now, I'm not pushing it beyond that. I still want to see them win this game, but for the first time, because of the way that the Knicks played, but more so because of the Tatum injury, I think the Celtics are done.
Well, I said to Sal yesterday, like, one of the things, aside from just, having a chance to win a championship, that we miss about these Knick runs that we were used to, if you're old enough to have gone through the 90s, obviously, and before that in the 70s, if you're that old, where it's just these emotional gymnastics that we do. One day you feel this way, the next day you feel completely galvanized, the next day you're beaten down. But I think this takes the cake. The emotional roller coaster for this particular series. Now, I went into the series, I didn't think the Knicks had a chance. I didn't think they'd win. I didn't know if it would be 5. I said it on the air, they're not winning. Then they win the first game, and that offered hope. Not overwhelming confidence, but I'm like, all right, there's a little ray of light. You stole a game, home court advantage. Yeah, but when they won the second game, just based on the fact you only need 2 more, and now you come to the Garden, now I feel like, not crazy over the top cocky, but good. As good as I could, and as good as I have felt all year about the Knicks getting to the conference finals. Then Saturday's massacre came, and I got on the air yesterday, and I said, hey, listen, if the Knicks don't win tonight, meaning last night, they will not win this series. They won tonight. They will win the series. They will play whomever it comes out of, the Cavaliers and the Pacers, and we'll deal with that when we deal with that. But they're moving on to the conference finals.
Right, but the reason why I feel like I've been consistent with this is because of the talent. That's what I've been saying to you all year long. I never believed that last year's Knicks, DiVincenzo and Hartenstein, could beat the Celtics, period. With catastrophic injuries, who knows? But I didn't think the Knicks had the talent to beat the Celtics. This year, I wasn't sure because I knew the Knicks had much better talent. It was going to be a tough ask, obviously, to go out in there and beat Boston. But, based off of last night, you saw the way the Knicks could play when they put it all together, how dominant they could be. And even with that, like I said, I still wouldn't be sure. The Tatum injury changed everything. You can't take the best player off the team, plus the other stuff like that, and they're up 3-1. That's why I feel confident with it. But the talent, BT, to me, is the difference where I didn't think the Knicks had it in them last year. I wasn't sure what we were going to see in the postseason this year with this iteration of the Knicks, the first time, which is why I wasn't ready to put them to bed. And I've always, in the NBA especially, take the talent, take my chances with the talent, where anything could happen. And now who knows what could happen beyond this, but still work to do here. It's just, to me, the series changed for good with the Tatum injury, assuming he is going to be out.
The series changed, and that's why I say big picture. So much has changed, but I remember saying yesterday, like, okay, there's no way the Knicks are coming from behind from 20. Like, they've got to win a different type of game. Now, I thought they'd have to play much better from the opening tip. They fell behind 16-4. White was red hot, and then Tatum went bonkers, and that Tatum Brunson show was unreal. But that's the most complete game the Knicks have played probably in the entire playoffs here against an opponent that was red hot, that was back to doing what they do. Hey, I feel terribly for Tatum. Nobody felt badly for us last year. Let's go.
BT and Sal on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Mark is in Brooklyn, who I ran into last night outside of the world's most famous on the subway as we were going back downtown. He said, I'm going to call you guys tomorrow. Listen all the time. Here he is leading us off. What's up, Mark?
Sal, I had to call early. I have about 30% of my voice right now. In a couple hours, I won't have any of it. So I said, I got to get the call through. What a night. What a night. I am 27 years old. I texted my family after game one, the big comeback in Boston. And I said, that's the best Knick game I have seen in my life so far. And the key words at the end, gentlemen, were so far. BT, you just hit on it. Last night, this has been an interesting playoff. We had a series with Detroit that we won, but it was gritty. We didn't really win it our way. Inconsistency from the guys at the top. Then we go up 2-0 at Boston, but we're still not playing great. Last night was the night. We put away any talk of playing with house money or a 2-3 year window or even, and I've been on this team, but even firing Thibodeau last night put that to bed. This team is ring hunting. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No more talk about doing it at home. No more talk about not being able to beat legitimate teams. This team showed last night what a championship team needs to show. The Garden showed up. The Knicks showed up. We're not done yet, boys. We're not done yet.
Yeah, boy, Mark.
Thank you for the call, Mark.
Nice.
Great running into you, and we're glad you give us a call here and lead us off on this Tuesday morning here. Here's the thing, BT, that we talked about this last week. When you're up 2-0 in the semifinals here, looking at the path ahead, you got to take advantage of it. So Mark is right. Like, I don't feel the need to spin it forward, but we need to live in it now, because the reality now is not, oh, well, what could happen here? What might happen there? Where are the roadblocks? The reality, forget the windows, forget Tibbs and all that. The reality of where we're at right now, the Knicks have as good a chance as anybody else to win the NBA title. And I would just take it each step of the way here. They're up 3-1 on Boston, on the verge of putting the champion, who is now wounded, out to pasture this year. We can look at the Pacers, we can look at home court, all that stuff moving forward. But this is right now the run. You want to be in the middle of where the Knicks are at right now.
Yeah, and I don't have an issue looking ahead and doing the juggle. Like the game 5, game 4, game 3, game 6, whatever, next round. Like, once the game starts, I am locked in like a lunatic. But the days before and the days after, I'm okay with talking about what could happen. I'm okay with looking ahead. That's just me. I've never had a problem doing that. But last night should also be a reminder when Jayson Tatum fell to a crumping heap on the floor, right? This is why the house money moniker, it drives me nuts. Because let's push this forward to next year. Just theoretically, right? Let's say the Knicks get 2 great bench pieces. Everybody else is back, but they get a sniper and they get a big who can actually shoot some free throws, right? And the Knicks win 56 games and they're the 1 seed and we're sitting here, which is possible, right? And we're sitting here and we're all year, these different checkpoints from the start of the season to the start of the playoffs, where we are assuming and assessing the Knicks' ability to win a championship. And then I'm not even going to say the name, but then a player like Tatum,
whoever,
that happens to the Knicks. Championship run over.
Right.
You don't know when you're going to be back in this position. So it's a delicate juggle. Not everybody wants to do it. I get it. I respect it. But I cannot help but look at, hosting the conference finals now.
Right. Well,
this is what's going on.
That to me is different. They're 1 game from that. I thought you were talking about pushing it forward to the championship.
Not even. Just stick it in the East here.
Well, I mean, they're 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. So that to me is not pushing it forward. That's kind of in the moment. The reason why I say, like, okay, the Knicks can win a championship. Yeah, obviously. Could they win a championship? They're 1 win away from being a Final Four team with home court in these. Like, obviously they could win the championship. And I think if you get to that, you start losing the appreciation for what was a terrific performance and a great night all around last night. Enjoy the run. We're in the midst of it. You could also push it forward and say, wow, I don't think that this guy's the right piece. I don't think that this guy's the right head coach. You want to push it forward that way? Like, we've had that conversation.
I don't think the time for that is now.
Cool.
I think there was. I think there was a time for that, like, during the season or coming into the season. I think right now, and I'm not going to focus on Tom Thibodeau, unless the Knicks were to get absolutely strategically undressed in a game, whether it's, next game against the Celtics or next round against whomever, well, then that's a part of the daily conversation. But, like, the big picture of, like, Tom Thibodeau's job security, that's where I push that to the side. Because that gets in the way. Now, maybe I feel like most do.
No, right now.
At this point.
Well, you're saying that it's not. Yeah,
I don't think most people are. I think most people are in a good spot.
Of course.
Feeling great.
If you're not
if you're not feeling great now, just hang it up.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What are we doing? Rob is in Tom's River. What's up, Rob?
Bravo.
Gentlemen, what a wonderful Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Sal,
It's a
first
good
thing,
one.
my condolences,
Thank
Sal.
you. Thank you, Rob.
But super quick, BT, while Sal was out, I called you last week after game one, and I said if the Knicks play the majority of this series like they did on that 33-11 run in the first game, we would close this series out in 5 games. And you laughed at me. And you told me not to get too ahead of myself, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, all right, so you're taking a little bow, that's fine, I get it. But by the way, you can say that about any team. If they continue to play on 33-6 runs, whatever it was, that they're going to win.
No, absolutely, but
yeah,
and I don't mean, I'm not talking, anything down on you.
No,
but
I don't take it that way. No, I'm thrilled. It's all good, man. I love when it's my team and I'm wrong or on the precipice of being wrong and somebody else is right and I benefit. I'll do that all day. I don't care.
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Sal, you'll appreciate this, and I think you'll agree. I have not had this much fun of a fan of any of my teams in the playoff runs since the 2015 Mets. I've never had this much fun rooting for a team.
And I think, Robin, thank you for the call. I also think it's still early here. Like, this is the second round. Now, I know it feels different because it's Boston and the champion, but we're just getting started. The first round was nice. Second round, the Knicks have been here before. This is the 3rd straight year they're in the second round. What they haven't done is been to the next round. So now with one more win, which seems likely because of the situation with Boston, 3 games to go, you got to win one. I mean, if they didn't, it would be catastrophic at this point. We talked about it.
My God.
We talked about it being a disappointment if they lost after being up 2-0 coming home, up 3-1 with Tatum out. Like, there's no way you could justify losing the series at this point. But now, once they win one more game, whether it's Wednesday, whether it's Friday, whatever, now you're in uncharted territory in a very long time. Now, to me, it starts to become really fun and really real with, hey, you win 4 games against a team that you're at least as good as, if not flat out better than with the Pacers. And you got to pay them back for what happened last year. To talk about getting to an NBA Finals, like, this is now in the midst of, and that's what I'm saying, BT, right now, we said this a week ago, so it certainly pertains to today. This might end up being the best chance that the Knicks or this Knicks group has to win a championship.
Here's the irony. Like, if you told me at the start of the season, hey, Knicks will be up 3-1 second round of the playoffs here, I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of what I expect here.
Right.
But
didn't know Boston would be the opponent at that point.
For sure, but I also didn't think it would look this way. That's the interesting thing about this. It has not been easy. It has not been smooth. It hasn't meshed the way some of us thought, but that's all expired. Look where we went away from moving on.
Do we think the Knicks have now unlocked something? Because the first 3 games were not pretty, even though they won 2 of them. Last night was what we were looking for more. Can they do that more consistently moving forward? Meaning Bridges starting to feel his presence here, having his emergence on the club, well-rounded effort, maybe feeling confident from putting Boston on the verge of elimination. We can get to that part of the conversation when we come back. 888-808-1019. Just getting started on this Knicks Victory Tuesday. What a scene it was last night at the world's most famous arena. The Knicks are 1 win away from their first Eastern Conference final in 25 years. BT and Sal on the Fan.